All right. We should be live again. Let's close out hot program. It's not live anymore. Let's check the good old Pocket Locker 86 account. Says we're live.
Yeah, I show you live.
There we go. That is indeed us. All right. There we go. That is indeed us. All right. I don't know what's up with that sound thing. Oh, you know what? It might be because of the restream going through and it's showing that screen through the restream. No, it actually looks pretty good. It's okay. All right, so we should be good to go. Let me hear my guys in the party. Oh, I can't hear them because I got to get back in the party. Hang on. What up, Rav?
No, I can't hear Jay, but I don't think we're supposed to be able to.
No, I'm talking to my club. Give me a sec.
Oh, okay, no worries.
Yeah, I had to let them know I had to reset my internet or whatever was going on with the internet. I'm not even sure.
I've been having really bad quality internet since we had storms about 2 weeks ago.
It's still not right.
The intermittency has just been horrible.
Did you call your ISP to tell them to come fix it?
That's kind of a stressful, It was really bad today. I reset everything, and it obviously did well for the live stream.
Yeah, things. Yes, absolutely. And I'm gonna try to get on tomorrow, or we could try to get on and when we give it to him if we figure out the time. Sorry, I had to vote.
James, where do you live?
So currently I'm in Indiana.
Oh yeah, where at in Indiana?
So currently I'm in Lafayette, but I've lived all around Indiana for probably the last decade. So
I grew up in Fort Wayne.
Yep, I was there a few years ago. I lived there for a couple of years.
Nice. You ever roll into a place called Henry's?
Henry's. Why does that sound familiar?
Cameron, I'm glad to hear that you finally subbed to Gin and Truth, man. Also, Cameron, I got your link with the podcast. Sorry, I just been kind of scrambling, but I'll definitely check it out. I pulled it up, and so I'll probably listen to it.
I don't think he's talking to us.
Oh, Henry's Restaurant. That's what you mean.
Yeah.
So usually I went to there's what was it called? Triangle. I did go to Henry's once for a meetup. There was because on meetup.com I used to do that a lot, like the different groups you can go to and stuff. And which everybody should know about. Like that is a wonderful thing if you want to get out.
I'm the leader of the Wheaton Atheist meetup group.
Oh, awesome. So yeah. So I'm preaching to the choir about that, but a lot of people don't know that that's an option. Of course, during COVID, it's kind of hit and miss. Like, what risks do you want to take, and who do you want to take those risks with? But
yeah,
sure.
So I haven't really hardly gone out anywhere.
Can you guys hear me in the restream?
But yeah, Henry's was nice.
Tux, can you hear me?
was my usual restaurant.
Triangle was over there where Stillhorn started.
Yeah.
Coliseum Stillhorn area.
Yeah.
I had a girlfriend whose sister worked there last time I was there. Wonder if she still does.
Tux, can you hear me?
In fact, I was at a restaurant.
I don't think they can hear me, guys.
On Tuesday, I was like,
all right, you guys can hear me. That's great, but I don't think they can
like,
for some reason.
That could totally be
I think
the daughter.
My device got switched up or something.
I was like, that looks like a 23-year-old version of who I dated back in the 90s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like, I bet that there's a good chance that she's in the service industry, just like her mom.
Yeah. Were you tempted to ask? I mean, I might have an awkward conversation.
You know, if she'd approach me and, you know, a conversation had started, I'd start asking some qualifying questions, and about the fourth one, if I'd gotten a yes to all the other ones, then I would ask. That's probably how I would do it.
Yeah. But now aren't you kind of always going to wonder about it? Like, was that her daughter?
No.
Yeah, fair enough.
Not really. I plan on staying at that hotel a couple more times. So if she's still there, I'm sure the opportunity will present itself. As for now,
that makes sense. So yeah, I like to travel too. I haven't traveled that much lately, but I had been traveling all across the Midwest, volunteering at animal rescue shelters, privately owned ones.
Jay unmuted himself. You want anything? You want to say anything, Jay?
No, I was just muted before. You guys couldn't hear me. I was talking, and I was just trying to see if you guys could hear me. So, James, I'm going to ask you some questions because the audio for the party is in my headphones so that the people in the stream can't hear it till we're done with this. But there was a couple things you brought up. All right. So one thing was that you mentioned that they don't go through the normal routes of getting their ideas credited, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to that end, I had pulled up this paper, maybe in the context of that discussion, about how there basically is no scientific literature on intelligent design, right? And this guy wrote a paper that basically said, hey, if they're going to tell us this is an alternative theory, then we should find places where scientists are, in fact, using it, right, as an alternative theory to evolution. And, of course, all the references to intelligent design that you find in the literature are just, intelligent design in engineering, intelligent design in programming, intelligent design in fashion or home aesthetics, right? But there is no biological literature using intelligent design, right? So their claim that, they won't let us, publish, and they're burying our. It's like, you guys aren't publishing. You're not even trying to get published.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I agree 100%. I mean, that's why I raised that whole issue on that stream.
Yeah, and I just think people don't often understand that. And this is a thing that I hope maybe you'll be able to get through to Rebecca or somebody like that, is this is not up for debate. This is not someone's opinion. This is not someone telling you they don't like your religion. And your inability to not accept these things just makes the whole endeavor look bad. It's as though you realize that if these things are in fact true, then there's a major problem with your religion, and then you seem wholly incapable of acknowledging that these things are in fact true, right?
Yeah.
And I just, and this is kind of where I divert from my one black friend and Lena and some of the other people who are, I'm gonna just say, nicer than me. I just think that they take advantage of that tact. And so my patience for them willfully trying to take advantage of my patience just reveals that I'm a less patient person than a lot of people, right? because I think that that's what they do. I've got to listen to you in good faith, but you don't, right? Like, in other words, if you had the first part of that conversation live with Rebecca, right, she would have wanted to chastise you in person, saying, James, how dare you tell me I'm abusive, right? And then she would have wanted to turn around. Literally, I showed it. It's in the same paragraph. It's like the same sentence. Like literally the next sentence, she's like, but this way you're thinking, I'm very concerned about it, right? And then you're supposed to sit there and say, oh, Rebecca, you were super insulted when I said you were abusive. But I'm just supposed to be like, oh, you think what I'm thinking is, super dangerous? Well, how sweet of you.
Right.
Let me be loving and kind to you. Let me see. Well, maybe if I take you out to dinner and buy you a bunch of flowers, then you'll let me tell you you're a fucking idiot. Like, no, right? Like,
Right.
I'm just saying with it. Like, and again, I'm not saying that my approach is better. Maybe buying them a steak dinner and buying them flowers would do a lot of good. It would do a lot of good if you wanted to give me some bad news. You want to give me some bad news, wine and dine me, spoil me, I will take it, right? But I just ain't with that. And part of the reason is I think they've been given much better than that in the fact that people have tried to explain it to them time and time and time and time. Well, I'm not going to try it for the 18th millionth time so it can go in one ear and out the other like it did all the other times, because that would just make me stupid for expecting something different to happen this time.
Right. There's just no way to win with those people. They're loyal to a narrative, and so they can't be loyal to truth. They can't be objective. They're not allowed to be objective and reasonable about it because, they don't want to disappoint or offend God, and they don't want to admit that their life, it might be based on a lie. So,
yeah. And I just think, to me, until they're willing to admit that that's the case, that it might not be true. And then I also need them to commit that to a reasonable standard of determining how to continue whether or not it's true or not, and then commit to leaving it. Because, again, if you will not admit under any circumstances that what you believe is not true, please don't waste my time. If you say, oh, I'm willing to admit I might be wrong, but to show me you're wrong, I need to see a turtle come out of a lion, and I need you to go back and rewind it and show me the origins of the universe, and then I need you to show me abiogenesis, and I also need you to show that you weren't there when Jesus rose from the dead after 3 days. I'm going to tell you to go fuck yourself, right? And if you tell me that you're willing to accept that it might not be true, you're willing to accept a reasonable standard of evidence that to accept that it's not true, and I can present that to you, and then you tell me you're just going to believe it anyway, or this is the if the Bible said 2 + 2 was 5, right? Right? I would just find a way to believe it, because again, if you're part of that crowd, go fuck yourself and don't waste my time, right? Because for the rest of us, all of those were part of the picture. That's part of the rules. We played the game like this. Yes, I am willing to accept that what I believe may not be true. Number 2, I will accept a reasonable standard of evidence as demonstration that what I believed is not true. And number 3, if you can in fact demonstrate it, I will no longer believe it, and I will say I no longer believe it, and I will not accept that it is true any longer. And again, all those 3 conditions have to be met before we can honestly say that we are both having this conversation in good faith.
Right. Now, for them, how they assess the probabilities of something being real do not scale with the evidence. They scale with the religious narrative. And then whatever their religious narrative allows them to think, well, they'll go with the evidence on that, as they're allowed to. If they're not allowed to, then evidence be damned, logic be damned, it's data be damned. They don't care. And it's just this wild card they play whenever they need to. Get out of accountability free. I'm playing it again. I'm playing it again. I'm like, well, that's no way to have a conversation. That's how you play tennis without the net. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. No,
So I liked it when. Go ahead.
no, go ahead, James. What'd you say? You
I
said
liked
you
it when
liked
I
what?
liked it when Sai came in and as a Christian on her channel and started explaining that evolution is true to her. And it's interesting because when an atheist says those things, the Christian immediately throws up all kinds of like BS, in the way. But a Christian says, here's how evolution's true. Then she starts listening and kind of thinking about it and hedging and maybe, right? And I'm like, because her defenses are down with them and they're up with us. So
this is a great point that I actually wanted to ask my one black friend about, but like you said, there's so many things that you just kind of leave on the cutting room floor. Yeah. But I guess that the question was going to be, should I go back and maybe some of us start identifying ourselves as Christian atheist or doubting Christians maybe, right?
Marketing.
Because of exactly what you just said. Because one of the conversations I tell people that I try to have with my believing friends, right, is that I do think this resonates with them, right? Is I just say, don't you believe in sin and blase, right? Yes, yes, yes. Do you believe everybody is guilty of sin? Yes, yes, yes. Do you mean like actively, like currently? Or do you think everybody has a sin nature or currently everyone literally sins? Most of them will tell you, no, I think everybody sins, right? And you're in constant need of repentance and forgiveness and the whole thing, right?
Yep.
And then they'll tell you, what are some things you struggle with? I struggle with lust, or I eat too much, or I don't take care of my body, or I don't read my Bible enough, or, whatever it is, right? And then I'll just go, I've been a Christian like you my whole life. I just struggle with doubt. I find it very hard to believe the fundamental claims of the faith, right? Mm-hmm. They get that. Because it allows them to put you in, you're kind of maybe a Christian, maybe you're on the fence, maybe God's doing the work in your life, whatever they need to tell themselves to hear me, right? And then we can get into a conversation about why I doubt the claims and, right? But again, if you're going to sell that narrative, I hate to say this, it helps to be the worship drummer, helps to be there at Bible study, helps to be at the conference, helps to be at the retreat, because they don't say, what are you doing to work through that doubt? And then you go, oh, I just make YouTube videos where I make fun of religious people all day, right? But you know what I'm saying? It helps sort of legitimize the Christian walk, right? There was a Christian girl. I always talk about dating. I always say I don't date Christian women, and people like my mom get a little taken aback when I say something like that. Christian women definitely get taken aback when you say something like that. And the truth is, it's like, y'all don't want to date us. Y'all think the most important thing a man could have in his life is this love of the Lord. I'll be honest with you. Most Christian women don't even think that the relationship with them is the most important relationship in that relationship.
Right. So you're in a three-way relationship and you're like not even you're not even an equal,
Yeah. You number two in this whole thing. Again, people want to know why I want to counter-apologize my family. I'll do the math equation for you. I will keep it very simple. Don't worry. You don't need any calculus. Jesus is greater than Jason. If that doesn't bother you in any family, I don't know why you have family in your life. Right? Mm-hmm. Because when I need my family, I need my motherfucking family. I need y'all to be on the way. I need y'all to send me some money, send me some food, send me a care package, come visit me at my bedside, assuming I'm not sick with this COVID shit, help a nigga out, right? Like I'm going through some shit, we'll pray for y'all. Nah. Y'all prioritizing y'all doing that. Jesus is greater than Jason again. You're prioritizing the Jesus. You need to be prioritizing the Jason. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's a problem, y'all. Here's another one. This gonna sound weird, but I'm gonna talk about my mother marrying me. Y'all gonna think I'm creepy. Y'all gonna think I'm on some Freud shit. I'm not. Pay attention closely. What does all mothers really want? Right? Your mother, right? At some level, James, you married, right? But let's pretend you're not, right?
I'm not married.
Oh, you're not married. All right, great. Your mother wants to, at some level, to have one of her good friends come up to her and be like, girl, what you stressing about? oh, my daughter, you know, she's so beautiful and wonderful. She's just the most magic person. I know she'd just be the most wonderful wife ever, but she just can't find a good man, and she's been really stressing about it. And God, I just wish I could introduce her to a good man, but you know, a good man's so hard to find. You would want your mother to be like, oh, my James, my sweet James. Listen, let me tell you about my sweet James. He's handsome, he's smart, he's caring, he has a wonderful voice. You should check out his blog. He's an amazing writer. Oh, he never forgets Mother's Day, right? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. You would want her to be able to put you over as, I know a great marriageable man, my son, right? Now, isn't that, now some people are going to say I'm nasty or they're going to counter-apologize. Look, I'm trying to just make a basic point to you. Most mothers' ambition is to raise their male offspring to be what they consider to be a good man, right? Mm-hmm. And that means the type of man that they would want to see themselves with, right? My mom had me in gentleman training before I could spell or pronounce the word properly. No, Jason, when we walk on the curb, you walk on the outside. That way, if a car jumps the curb, it'll hit you and not me. Mom, what kind of fucked up lesson is this shit? Jason, one day you're going to want to date, and when you want to date, I need you to show you how to take care of your dates. Oh, okay, Mom, I got you. All right, so I walk on the outside. Okay, cool. No, Jason, you hold the door for me like this. Oh, okay, Mom, I'll hold the door for you, right? My mom's a corporate executive. My mom would give me her card and show me how to fill out the paperwork and everything. This is how you pay for it, right? She just wanted to show me how to take care of the bill even before I had the money to do so, right? Yep. So I know what it's about, right? Now, let me tell you about something about my mother. If you ain't figured it out yet, she would never in her life marry an atheist. Because what is the first thing my mother told me about her new man once she found the one? Oh, he is right with the Lord, and he has such a good relationship with the Lord, and he wakes up every day and he reads his Bible, and yeah, you know, we black and we really struggle because we go to a mostly white church and the music ain't really right for none of us. You know, we really love our gospel music, but this white folks music, it is driving us crazy, but I really love my church and everything they do in the community, and he is willing to sit there and sing and dance to these white people songs with me each and every Sunday, right? Now, right? So what is the conundrum here? My mother made all them sacrifices in life just to raise somebody she would have absolutely nothing to do with herself. And it ain't got nothing to do with how honest I am, whether or not I've been through gentleman training, whether or not I'll hold the door open, whether or not I got a good education and a good job, as all of you are quite aware that I do, right? None of that matters because I don't have the number one thing required to date a good Christian woman. And I'm going to give y'all another example of what happened. I was playing at the church. I know I play at the church. I'm an atheist, still play in the church, right? So I became very close friends with a young lady in our church, right? It got to the point where everybody used to say that I was her man and we were dating. We weren't dating because she was Christian, right? But we were really good friends. I mean, we text all day long, be on the phone with each other for hours, right? So she eventually joins the worship team and she's playing keyboards, and the first thing she did when she came down to do her audition was give me a hug and all of this shit. So literally everybody in the church used to think we was together. I used to sit next to her in church every Sunday, right? And all of a sudden, what happened was one of the girls I actually was dating started coming around the church and hanging out, and I'd bring her to events, and they would be there together, right? And people would be acting me like, what was going on? Because I'd be sitting right between them. I'd be like, because me and her are just friends, right? And part of it was she really liked me. She really wanted to be with me. We really dated a lot. But you know what happened, James? I kissed her on the cheek one time, and you know what she did? She chastised the fuck out of me. Uh-oh. Because she's saving herself for marriage, and she don't really want to do all that, and I'm not a believer, and the blase and the glavinoids, right? Wow. Okay, we're officially not romantically involved. Oh, you're upset that there's other girls around that like me? Well, how about that's the girls that don't deny that they're interested in me because I won't believe in the magic code in some book. Now, y'all ask me, why am I telling y'all this particular story? Because this is what happens from the atheist side when an atheist decides to take down his walls and say, oh, you know what? I normally don't date Christians, but this is an exception. This is a person I'm very close to. We're really good friends. We're on the same worship team. And you know what I could say to her, James, that she used to laugh about?
What?
I go to your church more than you do. Because she was on the worship team, y'all. So she played once in a while on Sunday, and then she came to church every Sunday, and she came to Bible study every week. But guess what else I did? I played for the college ministry. So I was at every single rehearsal every single week, and I played twice a week, and I was in service twice a week. And then I was on, like I said, the retreats and the field trips and the conferences and everything else. So when I said, I go to your church more than you do, she laughed because it was true. And the point is, at the end of the day, it still didn't matter. You're not good enough. Don't matter how good you are, how much you go to church, how much you live a Christian lifestyle, how honorable you are, how much I like you, love you, and everybody, including my own family, thinks you're my boyfriend. I will not do it because Jesus would not permit it. So when you have people who are raising children to be people they would then have nothing to do with, again, nobody stays a child forever. This stuff has real life consequences when people become grown. So I just wanted to tell some of these real life stories, because people think, James, that they don't, Lena said in the chat, like they have no idea what deconversion is really like and what the real life stories we could share are. And I think the more we share our stories, the more they'll see how serious these things are, right? Like, because that just speaks for itself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they don't understand. And they need to understand, but a lot of them don't want to understand. And some of them just don't realize how much there is to understand. Like, they just assume.
Right. Go ahead.
As far as Rebecca goes, I don't know. Like, it seems like the best points that get made with her, you just get a smile in return. You don't really get her to engage with a lot of the points. And so I'm not really sure like what's happening in her head sometimes, but a lot of Christians out there, I mean, it depends on the Christians. The fundamentalists have it all figured out. They think they've got our life stories all figured out, and we were never really a Christian, or or the devil is leading us astray, or we just like to sin, or all this other crap. They don't want to know what's really happening. They don't.
And the thing that I think about a lot is, the truth, again, to them is embarrassing. It's embarrassing that, again, most of us know the Bible better than they did. It's embarrassing to them that our true history is most of us were much more involved in the church than they are. Right? Right? I don't not know your theology. I know it's so much better than you. I'm bored of talking about it. These issues, again, have been settled matter. Anybody that cared probably looked these things up when they were a teenager, and they're done with it. Right? It's like, because guess what? Aquinas was written a long time ago. A lot of people probably read about him a long time ago, and they stopped caring a long time ago. Right? Only you guys are like, but Aquinas said, and I'm like, it's 2022. Tell me what Aquinas said one more time and see what happens. Right? Like, right? So you're right. They don't get how much they don't get.
Right. And they don't, most of them don't care, but the most reasonable ones, I just say, you know what, there's a future atheist. They just haven't got there yet. But then the ones that are stubbornly unreasonable, well, that's just where they're at. That's what they want to be. You can't reason with those people anyways. It doesn't matter.
So where do you come out on this? Because for me, if you can't be moved, then there's not, I don't feel as much of an interest in treating the whole thing in good faith, right? I'm to me, it's at that point, any of you familiar with court lingo, right? That's where the prosecutor goes, permission to treat the witness as hostile, right? Because we got the evidence, we got the testimony, we're trying to, observe proper court procedure, and the witness is now just stonewalling us. So we go, permission to treat the witness as hostile. The judge says granted. All right, and now it's on. Sir, please pull up this exhibit B. All right, now this is you, the night of the shooting, sending this text, bitch, I'm about to kill you. Fast forward, this is you getting out the car with the crowbar, banging down the door. Now, my question is, what was your intent when you kicked down the door with that crowbar, right? Like,
right.
And so sometimes I feel like that's where we got to go with people. Hey, Rebecca, this is Erica spending 2 hours plus whatever time y'all spent before and after this encounter breaking down the best evidence possible about evolution. Guess who's breaking this down to you, Rebecca? one of the best science communicators and educators imaginable, who, you guessed it, does this for a motherfucking living. And here we're watching you. Do you see that funnel? I've drawn a funnel. Right. You see the funnel? The funnel is showing all that information going in one ear. And what is the funnel doing? You see it coming out the other ear on the other side. Right. And then here's another thing. Here's you with Sal, a person who's a demonstrably terrible scientist who says demonstrably incorrect and awful things about science. Here's you seeking his coaching. Right? Here's the receipt of you paying Sal. No, I'm kidding. I don't think he's paying for it. But you know what I mean? It's like there's footage of this. Here's you promoting Taylor. Here's us trying to explain the problem with Taylor and you going, I don't see the problem with Taylor. And again, us trying to explain here comes our magic funnel. It's going in one ear and out the other. Right? And it's like, would you just, at some point, you got to go, permission to treat the witness as hostile, roll the footage. All right. Now that's what we all see. Do you see what we see? No? Okay, you're not cut out for this.
Right.
Right, because the next thing is permission to treat the witness as hostile and incompetent, right? Because literally that's where we got to go. We got to now go to, are you competent to stand trial? If you don't want to be held responsibility for your lack of accountability for what we've all witnessed in the evidence that I've here submitted in this imaginary prosecution, right, then the next move is, well, then I think your defendant is not competent to stand trial, a.k.a. delete your channel.
Right.
Right? Like...
She just prioritizes everything. She's got this filter in place. It's like, if the thing being said to her can at least theoretically be meshed with her existing theological framework.
Also, hang on a sec. Cameron, no, I did not see the video of why she has to believe that. Please get that to me. However you'd like. You know, Cameron Bennett is like a superstar mod. Cameron, use whatever means are appropriate to you. I also don't want Cameron to beat me up because he's super muscular. So whatever works for you, Cameron, works for me. Thanks. But yeah, go ahead, James. I just got to get in some of the comments.
No, that's all good. Absolutely. So if what you're saying doesn't comport with her religious narrative, then it's automatically wrong. It has to be wrong because she's right. And it's not an honest way of thinking. But she's trying to protect the narrative. She's trying to protect what she feels is a due loyalty to a God that does wonderful things for her in her life. God is so good to me, I must be loyal to him. And since that God is defined by the narrative of her religion, she feels like she has to be loyal to the narrative in order to be loyal to the God.
Right.
It doesn't even occur to her that even if there is some super being out there that's all like loving and powerful and crap, and even if they're doing wonderful things in Rebecca's life, that it's still a huge assumption to think that her religion is the reason why that God's doing things, or that super being is doing things in her life. It could be it could be Loki. It could be some like mischievous God, or it could be some like more complicated God or less complicated God that just like does cool shit for people he likes, and he doesn't like care what your religion is. Because, there's Jehovah's Witnesses and Buddhists and Muslims and Hindus, and everybody got their story. Now, I don't necessarily believe
James, hang on one sec. Guys, thanks. I really appreciate that. Also, it's helped a lot because, when it shows that kind of like being a variety streamer helps, right? Because like I can show my boss, like, hey, look, these are people that I play video games with that are checking out my science stream, and these are people that do I make fun of religion with, and now they're watching my club, and they're watching me play GTA. So yeah, it all really helps, and I appreciate you guys saying that. I appreciate the encouragement. Thank you guys. And yeah, I will join you guys over at the Sacred Grounds once I get in the lobby. Oh, all right. So what are we gonna do? Just TDMs or something? Oh no! I'll do that. I'll do that with you. I wanna get footage for find places to do content, especially if Rab's on. Let's explore. But yeah, let me get this invite. That's in like what time? What time are you doing that? Yeah, I'll be on. I'm on till like 10, I think, or so. So yeah. But yeah, Ty, send me that invite, bro. All right, thanks, guys. Hang on, I got somebody in my chat, so that's who I've been talking to. But yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. All right, go ahead, James.
All right. So.
And also Cameron sent me that clip. So.
Yeah, I checked it. I opened it in a different
There are
tab.
now about 20,000 people who.
I'm actually gonna play this, James. Give me a second. Let's see how I can play this in the restream.
Oh yeah, it's the whole video.
All right, so do you guys know where that part is? Oh, actually, you know what? We could just watch it. I don't know. It's only 14 minutes. I might have to pause it a few times or whatever, but let's just rock with it. James, you can see it okay back there?
Yeah.
And then let me see what they see. All right, so I should go back to full screen for you guys, and then hang on a sec. Oh yeah, let's get rid of this, move that. I'm sharing this screen. Oh, I see. I've shared the wrong screen in the thing, I think.
Who have watched me on Gutsit Gibbon discussing radiometric dating with Erica. And some people have asked me to make a video sharing what I learned from that and how I felt about the video overall. So I'm going to start by sharing my emotional reaction to the video, and then I'll talk about the science. My emotional reaction is utter humiliation. That was very embarrassing. I was very unprepared. And so it was really hard to let Erica put that on the channel. And I did have several opportunities to not have that published on the channel. Erica was incredibly gracious. In fact, before our discussion, we had been discussing by email, and I told Erica, like, I'm really nervous about this. And, you know, you have 43,000 subscribers. When did this happen? Because she had been a small channel, and, you know, I was like, wow, I really don't know if I want this to be seen by so many people. So, anyway, when I told Erica that, she said, you know what? Let's just meet just you and me. I'll you know, have a discussion with you, and we don't even have to record it. We don't have to put anything on my channel. And I just thought that was so kind and so gracious of her. And it really showed me her heart, that her heart is to really teach the material.
A couple of things, guys. Educators educate. It's just what we do. You don't really have to pry us too hard. You don't have to poke the bear too many times. It's what we do. And teaching offline, what we do every day. And you know, I'm glad that she picked up on that. And it's the same thing. Like people who really love to educate people, we're desperate to teach people. I often could talk to you about times where we tell a lot of jokes about, you know, students and girls and, you know, the sort of inappropriate things that can happen sometimes, right? And so I could tell you stories about, you know, girls going out of their way to, let's just say, get some extra help from me as opposed to their actual TA. You know what I'm talking about, James? And, you know, it's funny when something like that happens, you just literally use it as an opportunity to teach. You're like, oh, cool. Your TA's door was open and you went into your female TA's office, and then asked her where I was, and then knocked on my door so I could teach you. All right, cool, great. Have a seat right here. Cool. So what were you struggling with? Oh, Tuesday's homework. Great. Awesome. Let's get that out. Yeah. What you were struggling with? Anti-sogamy. Right. Okay. So that's the idea that males and females have different size gametes, right? Okay. So let's say you've got, right, and you just get into the lesson. Oh, that doesn't make any sense to you. What are you in you're in a sorority. Cool. What y'all doing? doing the marathon. Let me think. It's kind of like if you're in a sorority, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then you go through the whole thing. You're like, and they go, oh, Jay, that was so good. Oh, fine. Great. I'll see you on Thursday then, right? Awesome, cool. Yeah, I got to get back to this here research. The grind don't stop, kid. Like, so it's just funny that Erica, like any good teacher, saw an opportunity to do some educating, especially if somebody who has a platform and some influence, and she just was more than up to the task. The other thing is her nervousness. She's being genuine. Believe it or not, even though we're a small channel, a much smaller channel than Rebecca's, she had the same nervousness about coming on Hot Program. Creationists and theists, they do get sandbagged, right? They do get brought on their channels by people who just want to make them look bad, right? And so I respect that. And I respect the fact that she took a risk with us because we are a smaller channel. I said to her, hey, Rebecca, plus we've known each other. Right? It's not like I was a stranger to her. But I was like, hey, the only reason I asked you to put it on your stuff ahead of time was because we're a smaller channel, and it would help us get a lot more viewers and potentially, callers and chats and stuff like that. And so she did share it, right? Which I took as sort of a special, it was a special day for me, but it was extra special because like, wow, that's her showing that trust, right? And then on top of that, y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. I had a deep pit in the feeling of my stomach when Cameron first shared the link with me of Gutsick Gibbons' video on me, because I didn't know what it was. First of all, I thought it was a prank. Then when I realized that I really wasn't a video of hers, I thought maybe it was a clip of like, or just, I got mentioned or I said something or whatever. And then when I saw like it was a whole thing, I didn't know if she was gonna like go off on me, or you don't know what this person is gonna say about you. Do you see what I'm saying? And I don't know, does she think I'm silly? Like, is she gonna, go off on my outfits or my, is she gonna play a clip of me dancing and start making fun of me? You don't know what you're getting into. You see what I'm saying? So it happened to be incredibly flattering, and I was, really honored by it, and it was huge for my channel. But I'm just telling y'all that this part of what Rebecca is saying, I completely relate to. She's being 100% sincere. When you do anything with a bigger channel like that, you are nervous about it. You don't know how it's gonna go, right? And for her to be giving this honest reflection, again, we give Rebecca a lot of credit. She doesn't have to do this vulnerable thing. She could have very easily just had that interaction offline. She could have very easily had it online, recorded it, and said, you know what? After we did it, I was really unprepared. I'd appreciate it if you didn't broadcast that, and we'd have never seen it. Then she could have done it, had the embarrassing experience, and then just moved on with her channel. Hey guys, today on Bread of Life, I'm interviewing Sal, or I'm talking about Genesis, or I'm reading the Bible. Hey guys, I got a hymn to sing for you, right? Instead, she got on. She was like, hey guys, that was fucking humiliating. Let's talk about it, right? So in the broadcast game, you just got to game respects game. You got to tip your cap. You got to give these people their respect when they earn it, right? When they earn our respect, we got to give it to them. This is some respect-earning shit, Rebecca.
And so she was willing to meet with one person to give her time to one person to educate me on her view. And I just appreciated that so much that I wanted to honor her back. And, as a content creator, I wanted her to have the opportunity to record the material. But she was still so gracious that even after we recorded it, she was like, if there's any reason that you don't want me to put this on the channel, just let me know and I won't publish it. And I really wanted to tell her, like, I don't want it on the channel, don't do it. But I told her to go ahead and put it on the channel. And the reason I did that is because I felt like...
Also, guys, a little bit of a programming update. My club is done with church, and we don't have to do rundown today because we don't have hang-arounds or prospects on, although we do have somebody who we voted to move from prospects to full patch. So tomorrow I'm going to try to get on when we give this person their final rundown. The rundown is when we make sure they know the hierarchy from top to bottom and all the rules and everything, to make sure that when we give them that patch, they know what we expect and that they're not going to embarrass themselves or the club. And so look forward to that. And so I can now put the party chat audio through the stream so you guys can hear what they're saying, but I'm not going to, because it gets to be crossfire. You're trying to listen to Rebecca, you're trying to listen to James, you're trying to listen to what they're saying. So we are doing an awareness ride. A lot of you guys know I'm trying to raise money for charity on my channel. We're trying to raise $100 total for the International Bipolar Foundation for August 12th for my birthday. A big part of the inspiration for that was my club does a charity every month. We try to bring awareness to a particular issue. And so in a little bit here tonight, we'll be doing our awareness ride. We just get together and do a ride around different parts of the map and kind of hang with ourselves. We invite some other clubs if they want to join us. And it's just a time to kick back. And we do it so that, you know, the stuff we post on social media and stuff like that helps us to promote awareness of a different issue. We pick a different one every month. I'm not sure what this month is. I'm kind of forgetting. But anyway, I wanted to let you guys know what's going on. So I can put the party through, but I'm not going to, because James is still here, and we're just hanging out for a while we get ready for this event anyway. So it's a good time to just listen to Rebecca and talk to James. All right, so I'll let you guys know what's going on. And then again, 10 o'clock, we're going to do the Atheist Crew Book Club, the next chapter of God Is Not Great, by Christopher Hitchens. And I say 10-ish because I'll be a little bit flexible tonight because my club has an event going on. So I want to make sure that I'm there to attend that, and then we'll do the book after that. All right, let's go.
It was more important to honor her time than to try to save face, and that she did such a good job presenting that I didn't want to, I wanted her good presentation to be out there, even though it was a little bit embarrassing for me. So, you know, I was just like hoping, though, that either maybe she wouldn't put it on there, or that maybe people wouldn't watch it, that it would just be kind of like one of those videos on, you know, her channel that doesn't get watched. Unfortunately, that's not the way it turned out. So I have been just really struggling with that, actually. It's hard to have, you know, 20,000 people see what is, you know, what I don't think is a good presentation of myself. It's not what I want to be known for, right? So that was really hard. But let's talk about the science. As I said, I thought Erica did a great job presenting. I still do. I think she gave me good evidence
it's all
for
good,
radiometric
Lena.
dating. In particular, I think the article and the discussion
Lena,
about...
I think what you're referring to is she had a conversation with Erica about evolution, and you know, it was really Erica laying out the radiometric dating and how that corresponds with the fossil records and just a lot of the really, really core aspects of the scientific evidence. And like she said, it was like a one-on-one tutoring session. It was like watching somebody get a private master class where Erica is just like meeting her where she's at. Now, what I loved about it is her speaking to this. I hope she's got a playlist or something where these are sort of right after each other. I need to do more I need to get my stuff organized in playlist. But anyway, I really always hope in these type of situations that other believers feel the vicarious embarrassment. And I think her speaking this candidly to it, I think this is something I really would show a lot of Christians. Her conversation with Erica, just let them sit there and take it in. And then this conversation where she follows up, at least what I've seen so far. So, you know, we'll see if I feel that way at the end of this, but that's what I'm thinking right now. James, I just want to bring you in here. What are you thinking about this so far?
I mean, all that makes sense. And so, I mean, I can see both sides of that, but yeah, it's valuable. And, you know, it's valuable in ways that Rebecca doesn't want it to be valuable in, right? Like even just the usefulness of it to show other Christians, Rebecca doesn't want you doing that. Even if Rebecca wasn't embarrassed about how it went, she doesn't want you using that conversation to help sway other Christians.
Right, like LPP doesn't want his video used, his channel used to make creationists look stupid.
Right. Well, they do that to themselves. We just help them along.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. And guys, like, and I don't know how you felt about this, James, but for me, the game with Rebecca changed when I found the Examining Evolution channel. My progression with Rebecca was, oh, this is the sweet Rebecca that always pops up on the, Doug and Nathan and whoever. And so I'm thinking this Rebecca Davis, first of all, I really wasn't into her channel. I guess I figured out that she had fans and she was doing, but I didn't really like watch her stuff. I just saw her in these discussions, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'd kind of like had these casual encounters with her before I really found her channel. And when I found her channel, I was like, okay, like I know you, like I'm cool. I thought of it as kind of like my friend from church has a channel, right? And if my friend from church has a channel, like, I don't really care that I don't agree with anything you say. You're still my friend from church. I wish nothing but the best for you and the growth of your community and your content. And, of course, I'm a fan. I'll sub. I'll watch your stuff. You know, the whole thing, right? And I was immediately struck by the fact that she had always been saying, I'm not really an apologist. I see myself as an evangelist. But then when I went to her channel, I was like, oh, this is just all straight apologetics. And then when I kind of got to know her and I was like, whatever. And I had kind of felt bad for her on this because I'd heard her say things like, I know I'd be one of the cool kids if I could just let go of this young earth creationism type of deal. Right. Right. So I felt like, oh, she's the sweet church lady who kind of knows that her, biblical narrative doesn't jive with the story, but we are the world, we are the children. She likes singing in the choir and hugging all her church friends, and she doesn't want to have to tell them she doesn't believe in the biblical narrative. So, sorry, atheist, I'm just not with it, right? And I was like,
yeah.
Kind of pathetic, to be honest with you, but whatever, right? Sure. And now it's like, oh, wait, you have an Examining Evolution channel that you oddly don't talk a lot about. And then you're literally bringing on both sides and, poking all the holes at evolution. Hey, guys, I'm just saying that this isn't good science. And I love science. It just isn't it. And y'all just won't let go of your dogma and your indoctrination and you're listening to the authorities. If you guys would just let go of your authoritarian worldview, you would see that, the evolution narrative just doesn't make any sense. And it's like, okay, Rebecca, you painted the scarlet letter on yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Which she didn't realize, but yeah, she did.
Oh, you think she didn't realize? Okay, this is the conversation I wanted to have. Go ahead.
So a lot of people don't realize that what they're setting themselves up for when they commit to certain positions. And then by the time that finally becomes painfully obvious, they're like, crap, how do I get out of this situation and put myself in? Because I've got the scarlet letter, for example. And
right.
So then you watch them wrestle with how to harmonize and work through that.
And we're sitting there going, well, there really is no way, sort of in our view, right? Like the only way would be sometimes the only way to make something right is to make it right. Mm-hmm. And see, that's where I think she could be super powerful. But again, she's going to run into the problem, right? She's going to run into the problem of as soon as she starts to say, well, I'm dancing and flirting with this idea and maybe not accepting this idea. And now I'm going to become unsure Rebecca or skeptic Rebecca or reconsidering Rebecca. She's going to be told, well, you're not a Christian and you just want to sin and you never believed and I think her social situation, but to be honest with you guys, one thing I do respect about her is I think she pays the cost for this stuff. I think some of her religious relationships and community ties are strained by her.
Yeah, she's talked about that before. She has paid a price and she's willing to pay it. Yeah. And I respect that.
Yeah. I respect that too. Because again, that's where most of us are, right? Paying the cost with our friends and family of our open decision to no longer believe. So I do really get that. But yeah, I think she's gonna have to come around. Go ahead.
Part of the problem, and Shannon Q talked about this last week on one of her streams. She had a guest speaker on, and they were talking about ways to influence people and things that work and things that don't work and things that work against you, trying to get through to people. And one of the things they talked about is if you have these kinds of discussions in a very public venue when your peers are watching, there's a psychological mechanism that kicks in to protect your ego, to protect your identity, to protect your reputation, where you're not willing to really consider the points that would otherwise maybe change your mind. But if you have those same conversations with them in private, then they're going to be more receptive because their reputation is not at risk. And people, it's the common element of human psychology to want to protect our reputation in our social landscape and our social ecosystem. We will die. We would literally die, a lot of us, to protect our name, to protect our reputation, to protect how we're seen. That's how important it is. Even more important to some of us in our life.
Because for some people it is, right? Because you guys got to remember, we're very privileged in this world where we can sort of say, oh, well, I think about this even in my communications with my family, where I'm like, man, Jay, you're taking a big risk because, if your, grandparents decide they don't want to talk to you anymore, you could put your family in a situation where, like you're in black sheep mode, and I'm already the black sheep in the family for a lot of this stuff, right? And then it's like, well, then what if my mom, who's going to be living with my grandparents, decides she doesn't want to help me? And do you want to not go along with the game plan, and you want to be out there on your own on YouTube making fun of religion? Well, don't come looking for help from mom anymore. Well, that'd be unfortunate because I'm grossly underpaid. As an up and coming early career academic, right? So that would whoa, but again, it's like, do I keep my mouth shut and not take that risk, or do I say, hey, mom, you may want to cut me off as a result of saying this, but I think you subjecting yourself to COVID just to make your parents proud of you is a pretty bad idea. Right. And again, that's what I went with. Now, luckily, my mom, was like, hey, Dr. J, I know you're coming from a place of love, and it's all love. Right. But we have to take those risks. And it is really, really risky to us. Right. So yeah, I just want to speak to that because it's real. Like, it's not easy, and I think she would experience that even more. That was my point, right? That if she really did go through with this, she would experience way more of that. And I think we have to read between the lines a little bit. And I'm not trying to say, like you said, I don't know how you raise your family. I don't know what's going on in your house. And honestly, you reveal so much about your life, I'd never think to ask. But at the same time, when I read between the lines, I say, this person has to have some other explanation for why they can't let go of this. So I'm looking at their social circle. That's my suspicion. My suspicion is this is so deep in her social web that if we looked at her social web, it'd be so covered in crosses and scriptures and anointing oil that we'd be like, yeah, Rebecca literally can't see her life beyond the boundaries of this community. When she looks at her support system and she thinks about her schedule from Monday through Sunday, and she thinks, I got to do this, then this, then this. Apparently, I think you might even be onto something that is crazy. Like, she may be trying to come out, right? This may be her little window to peer into Rebecca thinking for herself, right? And she's trying to steel man her exit.
Yeah, I think there's a spectrum in that she's maybe being pulled in toward our direction, or she may be close further along in our direction than she's wanting to come out with. I mean, but at the same time, I'm convinced that she's not all the way where we're at, right? Like, I think genuinely,
Sure.
genuinely. So
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
whole lot of God in her heart, as it were.
Sure. I think I'm going to play a little bit more. Do you have anything else, or is that cool with you?
No, that's it for now.
All right, cool.
About the volcano, about the eruption of Vesuvius, is great evidence for radiometric dating, because there's the historical recording, we have, the history, as well as the scientific data that are aligned. So I thought that was really excellent. After Erica and I's discussion, I pushed back a little bit about the tree rings. And, there are, to be fair to young Earth creationists, they have responses to the things that Erica presented in the video. However, when I kind of pushed...
Yeah, see, this type of stuff is where we get into problematic behavior. Because...
Yep.
I mean, what is that? I mean, that's a vacuous statement, right? They have responses. I mean,
yeah, flat earthers have responses. I mean, what's that really worth?
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, they don't. There's no really, at least scientifically credible response. I mean,
Right.
And again, and this is where, again, like, I don't think they realize what they don't know, right? Because I think they think in their minds, they've got biology pegged as, like, let's say science is like a pegboard, right? It's a big, huge pegboard. You could fit probably a few thousand pegs on it, right?
Sure.
They've got science pegged as this, they got biology pegged as this one little yellow peg sitting off somewhere. They don't really like it or pay much attention to it. They think it's got a couple of, they like it mostly, right? It's got, it's done the medicine and the ointments, and they like lotions and all of the stuff biology brings us. But, they just think that, like, the tip of it's a little scuffed up with all of this evolution stuff, right? Yeah. And the situation is much closer to what Cliff was talking about yesterday, which is like this crossword puzzle where, once 95% of the crossword puzzle becomes filled out, it becomes harder and harder to reshape the whole picture. And so I don't think they really get that you could take all of biology and all of chemistry, geology, physics, astrophysics, astrobiology. I'm leaving sciences off because y'all know the list just goes on and on and on. And all of them point to the older. Like not a single one of these disciplines has any major traction anywhere. That, you see what I'm saying? So again, it's like you're either being severely misled to say, well, there's a response to this. You're being deliberately obtuse in the sense that you could present a physics equation to me that I have no idea what it says, and you could say, and I could just say the answer is 4, right? And you could say, but Jay, you don't even know what the symbols mean. You don't know how to do these calculations. You don't understand the integrals and I'm like, well, I have an answer for it.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Right? The answer is 4. Right? Yeah.
Right.
Oh, the correct answer. Oh, well,
You didn't say that.
You didn't say that, right? All right, here we go, folks.
Back on the tree rings thing, Erica then sent me an article that kind of responds to the young Earth creationist response. And, so I have, the majority view and Erica's presentation, which I think is good evidence. There's the young Earth
chat. Sometimes I love to let our chat go because our chat is community and all these fuckers know each other. AR has been on fire lately, but shout outs to Titan Uranus because Titan Uranus had a birthday and Rebecca sang happy birthday on stream and actually sang Titan Uranus in the birthday song, which again, y'all, Rebecca knows she's a good Christian woman and the blase and the Glavinoids, and she knew her chat wanted to be triggered by her saying Titan Uranus, and she sang it because she's a good broadcaster. So we talking a lot of junk about Rebecca, but ain't neither one of us gonna tell you she's not a good broadcaster. That
Right.
Pine Creek Christmas song or whatever, that was smashing. That was really good, Rebecca. The Happy Birthday to Titan Uranus, that was an atheist community classic. The girls out here doing things.
Creationist response. And honestly, when I weigh them, I really don't know who to believe because I'm just a layperson. But I'm happy to give credit to Erica and say, you know what, she presented me good evidence for radiometric dating. Now, does that mean that I'm ready to accept radiometric dating as proof of the
Cameron
age of
Bennett,
the
I was
Earth,
crying laughing.
or proof that young Earth creation should be abandoned, or even that radiometric dating is accurate? No, I'm not ready to accept that. And for some people, that may be grounds for calling me a science denier. And some people have called me a science denier. I don't think I'm a science denier. I embrace science. And so what I'm doing in this situation is I'm embracing what Erica said as, good evidence for radiometric dating. However, I'm just not making a conclusion based on that good evidence. And the reason I'm not ready to make a conclusion based on that is because I think there's mixed evidence. So whenever I talk about young Earth creation, I fully admit.
Guys, I'm just going to ride around. They're in the middle of a sale, and so I'll link up with them. They're just selling some drugs. We're all just BSing until we start this event. I'm mostly just chilling, talking to James, watching this video. So we're all in the same lobby, and as long as we stay in the lobby with them, we'll be fine. And all right, let's keep going.
That there is good evidence against a young Earth, but I think there's also good evidence for a young Earth. And so I'm kind of dealing with conflicting evidence. And so,
Now, guys, this is actually really good, right? Because this becomes an actionable point. I just think there's really good evidence for old Earth or whatever she said. I just think there's good evidence for a young Earth. Now, that is something we can actually deal with. Because there isn't good evidence for a young Earth, as we were just discussing, right? So we can demonstrate things like there isn't any really good published research that suggests there's a young Earth, or none of these relevant disciplines supports the idea that there's a young Earth. There's even philosophy of science questions to where the young Earth ideas are not even testable because the reliability of the instruments that we use to even measure these things rely on a physics that makes it impossible for. I mean, right? Like if there was a young Earth, y'all, the damn telescopes wouldn't work. So, right? So,
Right.
Hopefully, you can get a person to start to wrap their heads around just how bad these ideas are, but you'd have to be able to really focus in on where the sort of the details, and I'm so glad, thankful to Cameron Bennett for sending us, but you've got to really listen. You can't make assumptions. You got to really listen to what a particular person, what their hangups are, and then you can try to deal with them. But be prepared. Apologists are going to apologize, so expect another one to pop up in its place and to find yourself in a game of whack-a-mole. James, you got anything on that?
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure she's a 6,000-year young Earth creationist, if I'm not mistaken. That's the usual date that they give. And Sam Harris had a point about that. He's like, so we're talking about millions of people who think that God began to create the world sometime after the Sumerians invented beer. It's like just history itself disproves.
Yes.
How were all those cultures existing and thriving before God created the world? It just wouldn't make any sense.
And to be honest, I say the same thing about the theistic creationists. What they don't realize is or the theistic evolutionists, what they don't realize is, and this is why I don't buy into deism, and I think deists need to just shut the fuck up, because I think theism is better than deism. Because I think at least the theism can point to their holy book and their traditions and their cultures and their battles and all of that stuff. I think the deists have an idea that comes from theism. They just won't let go of the God thing. Oh, I think all the theistic ideas are stupid. I just think there may have been something that started out there that may be greater than all of us. Okay, and where'd you get that idea from? Oh, well, this one person I read, you know, and it's like, all right.
Yeah, from the theists that they think are stupid.
Right, from the theist that you think, exactly. James, you just hit it exactly on the head. From the theist you think are stupid. And so what's worse about all that to me is, it's like I accept the evolution account. Okay, well, once you accept the evolution account, that means you accept that intelligence evolved. Right? When you hear about origins of life and abiogenesis, does anywhere in the debate, do you hear anybody talking about things with brains running around? You hear anything about 4 billion years ago, things were writing books? Or there was the word was around, right? So they want to propose an intelligence that existed before intelligence evolved. Done work. Done work. Again, you can accept it, you can believe it if you'd like. But there's no scientific reason to believe it.
Right. And that's an important distinction.
Right? Like go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, it's important to make it a clear distinction between religious faith and science. And science is whatever is derived through the scientific method. It's not whatever your book says about the magic man in the sky. Exactly.
So we've pretty much done it. It's like if what you're gonna tell us is that you accept the scientific evidence, but you just think, and then you insert something totally non-scientific, then I'm just gonna tell you that you're just in no better footing. Like I don't know. And I think sometimes in our community we sort of tacitly co-sign or endorse this type of thinking sometimes, because we say things like well, philosophically, I don't have as much of a problem with deism because I can't metaphysically demonstrate that there wasn't something that started it all. And I'm like, please don't tell them that. Like, it's certain things you don't say around the children, right? And that's one of them. Or most of the deism, the deists aren't really the ones who overturned Roe v. Wade, so I don't have as much of a problem with deism. And I'm just like, oh, so it's less fucking ridiculous because they're not trying to kill you with it. I just know. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. It's a bad idea. We know gods come from religions. Until further proof, until deism has some hard evidence, it's on no more better, rational, reasonable footing or none of that. It's fairy dust as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm. It's just pure fantasy. Within that realm, you could speculate literally anything.
Yes. All right, we're going to let it roll.
Some would say, well, then why don't you just go with the majority view? The majority of scientists believe the Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Why don't you just believe them since, you don't know the science yourself? And there's a couple of reasons why I'm not ready to do that. One of them is that the majority of scientists have been wrong many times. If you just, look at the Wikipedia article on superseded scientific.
First off, y'all, I don't actually think this is a true statement. I think what she's trying to say is that over time, the scientific consensus on things has changed. But was there really a time when the majority of scientists were all wrong about something? It's kind of weird. It's just like, it might be true. I don't know how to think about it, but it's a weird thing to say. I guess you could say at one time, all the scientists thought, this is just a hard example. It's just really weird. And it's not meaningful, right? Like, it's not meaningful because of the way, like that's what science is. It's progress from knowledge to better knowledge, right? It's supposed to be that way. And people who do this, I think this is a very disingenuous line of arguing, right? And again, when you say this, you're sort of giving the game away. Because again, we're talking about science being wrong. So even if we were going to grant, okay, well, things changed over time. There was a time when the majority of scientists didn't, understand or quote unquote believe in gravity, and now they do. So therefore they were majority wrong. It's kind of like weird. It's just like they still knew that objects fall, right? They just didn't have a calculation for it, right? Like it's just such a weird line of argumentation. Furthermore, and this is key, you're giving away the fact that we really should rely on scientific reasoning. Because you're going, oh, well, at some point, the majority of scientists were wrong. Yeah, and then guess how we figured that out? Using science, right? And so it's sort of giving away, one, even throughout history, most people have realized that there was a ton of value to the scientific consensus at the time, regardless of how imperfect it was. Right?
That's our best available means for assessing the probabilities of any given thing being true and figuring out how things work. It's not flawless. It's not supposed to be flawless, but it has a proven track record of being a whole lot more reliable than, oh, I heard a rumor about what the magic man in the sky said.
Yes. And also getting better, right? And so then it gets corrected. Now, here's the other problem with this. A lot of the fundamental real theories in science, the ones that sort of become the sort of fundamentals that we build the rest of science on, haven't been overturned.
Right.
And it's really important to acknowledge that things like atomic theory and gravity and the germ theory and the heliocentric model of the universe have not been overturned. And not a single person goes, well, guys, I know all the evidence makes it look like the Earth revolves around the sun, but don't forget that the majority of scientists used to be wrong about these things, right? So now...
That's exactly the reasoning.
Now, if that doesn't tell you that it's a much better bet to believe that the sun revolves around the Earth, and that one day those scientists, man, they're gonna realize that they had it wrong. It's like, really, that's what y'all got?
Yeah,
that's what we're going with, right?
Yep, and they're so stuck on it. They think that their position about God hinges upon it, like it's necessary to their religious narrative. Well, they can unhook from that. Psy did. Psy unhooked that from his religious narrative so that he could keep a belief in Jesus and still accept the actual science. So it's not that big of a compromise. It's not that big of a loss or a shift. She could do it.
Yeah. And that's really important too here, is that, we've talked about this probably, that you don't actually, you're not committing yourself to atheism by letting go of young earth creationism. But to me, I think that it is the death knell of Christianity. And it's not because of the metaphysical reasoning. It's because of I'm trying to think of a good way to put it. Basically, when you take the magic away from the toys, nobody's interested in the toy anymore, right? So once you have this God who, it's like, okay, well, we accept the evolution and we accept the old universe and we accept the old earth. Well, now you have what I call a mundane God. You have a God who works exactly like the model that there's no God in predicts. And that becomes the only honest evaluation of the situation, right? Like, it's not us saying this. It's them actually saying, hey, we're accepting this now. We're saying this works and that works and germ theory and gravity and, Big Bang cosmology and the whole line. That all works, but that's just how God did it. And then the scientists have to come along and say, well, we figured all this out without God. And they got to go, yep, that's just how won't he do it? you know, right? And it's just so sad at that point, right? And so I also think that for me, evolution was kind of a death knell, not because, again, it committed you to atheism, but because the God that I believed in had the power over life and death. And if you could explain how we got here without his intervention, then he just fundamentally isn't the creator that I believed in. Right? Again, it's not saying that I found a bone and I was like, oh, this bone proves there's no God. I just said the God I believed in was the creator, and this isn't how he would create. This isn't this doesn't look like what a creator does. Right? And then I'm supposed to be in his image, but then I'm definitely a primate. So is the monkey supposed to be in his image? And they're like, hell no. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't think so either. You know what I mean? Like, and so then you're just kind of honest about all of that. And so to me, once that happens, I say this a lot, but once God doesn't have the power over life and death, then what did Jesus come for? Jesus' whole thing was he's supposed to save you from eternal damnation, right? So that he can give you what? Eternal life. Well, if you're just a goddamn monkey, then how does believing Jesus get you eternal life in the biological sense, y'all? I'm not trying to fuck around with y'all. I'm just trying to say, what is the mechanism by which a believing person lives for eternity in the way a non-believing person doesn't? And yes, you have to explain it to me as a biologist, because that's the life I'm talking about. That's the life you're talking about when you say live forever, right? And so to me, all that was out the window. And so what I'm saying is I think the holding on to this with the death grip is for a reason, because you recognize if you let go, you've fallen off.
Yeah. And she feels like she has to have it. And, you know, she doesn't, so she can't even see the obvious flaws in her religious narrative. For example, the idea is that the reason that we physically die is because it's the wages of sin is the physical death. So we are these sinners, and so we deserve to die, right? Like that's our fate. But if Jesus has already washed clean those debts, and they no longer owe a debt from the sin, then they no longer have sin to pay as a wage. Therefore, it doesn't make any sense that their God allows them to physically die, because they're no longer paying a wage that Jesus already paid. Where's the excuse for God letting you die? It doesn't exist anymore. There's no good excuse now for why he lets you die.
Right, because Jesus paid it all.
Yeah, so how is it that you're going to pay the wages of sin with your death when Jesus already paid it? Makes no sense at all. You should already be immortal.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all noticed my apologetic techniques. A lot of y'all don't go to church with white people like I do, especially because a lot of y'all are atheists.
You're right.
But I use the I don't quote scripture. I know how my one black friend really knows the scripture, so he quotes scripture. I just quote song lyrics and song titles, right? So that was the argument from Jesus Paid It All, because that's a song. And you know what I've realized over time? It's a really powerful apologetic, right? Or counter-apologetic, because the same way quoting scripture to them works, they're like, oh shit, that's in the Bible. Oh, it does say that in the Bible, right? Yeah. If I say something to you, say like what you said, I say, yeah, because Jesus paid it all. They have to go, right. Because they sing that shit on church on Sunday.
Right.
Y'all sing a whole song. Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain. He washed it white as snow. Nigga, I know the lyrics and everything. I'll be on drums playing it. So I'm there when you sing it. Right? I've been practicing it all week. I heard it 100 times. Trust me, I know the lyrics and everything. Right? So it's funny because to me it works almost just like scripture, but I call it the argument from the songs. You know, it's the argument from the canon. You know, you got, just like we hit them with today on Hot Program. Oh, you got a problem with the militant language. Onward, Christian soldier. Go ahead. Tell us you never heard it before. Tell us you never sang it before. Go ahead.
She tried to get out of that too. She tried to get out of that by saying, "Oh, well, Christians usually just mean that in a spiritual sense. They're not using it in sense of what's happening in this world with actual physical people." And I'm like, yeah, they are. I mean, okay, sometimes they're using it for religious language, but yeah, they are. Quite often they're using it for what they're doing here in their physical world.
Thank you. Thank you. And plus, like, they are, the real ones that are in the Bible, they'll tell you God's going to come and reclaim the earth and smite all the heathens and everything.
Yeah, Rebecca never talks about that either, because she talks about how God's just might not like resurrect you back to life, because that doesn't sound so bad. But she never talks about how the Bible also says that Jesus is going to come in person and kill your asses, like violently kill everyone who isn't like one of God's favorite people.
Right.
And it's like, why aren't we talking about that? Because that's a very aggressive thing for Jesus to do. It's a lot more aggressive than just, letting you die because you were going to die anyways, and then just like not bringing you.
Yeah, and it's kind of why I disagree with a lot of the atheists, because I think a lot of them, and again, maybe it's distance that they have from Christianity or practicing Christianity, or too many years since you've been in church, but it's like, this is everyday stuff for Christians, right? This is the core of their stuff, right? Their dominion and kingdom. I wanted to do you know what? You know how I criticized Genetically Modified Skeptic for his video that he made about why he loves Jesus but won't worship him, which, to be honest, I was a little confused because the video felt like he was just worshiping him. So I was
critical of that too.
I'm still a little bit lost on the title, but glad to hear that, James. He had another one that I was super critical of, which was called the cult tier list. Matter of fact, I ain't gonna lie to you. This was gonna be my first ever Counter-Apologetics video, and I still haven't made it. But I'll get there, right? Now, eventually I'll start making YouTube videos. What happened was I was really triggered by that. And the reason was because I felt like he went to one of his special favorite definitions of cult, where he could preclude Christianity, right? Just so he didn't have to talk about it and include it in his list. Right. And then he gave all the cults these like superpowers, right? But he wouldn't talk about, like Christianity and its superpowers. And so I wanted to make a response video. And so maybe one day I'll go through this video on stream while I finally make this video, so people will see what I'm talking about. But what I want to bring up is why Christianity to me is the number one cult in the world, and what I think its superpowers are.
That would be interesting.
Yeah. All right. So one, and I'm gonna see how much I remember this because it's off the top of the head, but one of its superpowers is what I call dominion, right? And it's sort of what we're talking about lately, which is the religion is protected from the government, but the government isn't protected from religion. It's this idea that, all of your elected officials are more or less Christian. So many of your teachers and public figures are. So when y'all sing the God Bless America and put "In God We Trust" on the money, and this wonderful person just got elected to the Supreme Court. Oh, I just want to thank God for all his many blessings upon my life. Oh, did they finally convict the cop for killing a black person in cold blood? Oh, well, this is a victory of the Lord. Wouldn't it have been a victory of the Lord if this nigga was still alive? No. The fact that the cop went to jail, this is a victory for God. Like, it's just, right? And so what happens is that particular cult, right, gets to feel like their cult is normal, right? Their cult is the default, right? And it's not weird to be a part of their cult because everybody's doing it, and everybody wouldn't be doing it at all levels of government. You love this one. Oh, look how many brilliant scientists were Christians, right? Right. So I call that dominion. Right, y'all just control a map. That's
planting flags. They're going around planting flags for their mafia.
Yeah, Gin and Truth calls it. Y'all want to be the lead dog. Y'all the lead dog. So that's its first superpower. Its second one is what I call denominationalism. And y'all say, Jay, why do you say what I call it? Because I'll be making this shit up when I'm sitting on the toilet, and I do not know if this is the language other people use. I'm not claiming it's an original idea. I'm just saying this is the term I use in my head. Denominationalism, right? Now, a lot of y'all know what this is, right? We talk about the pick and choosing the beliefs. You follow this part, but not this part, and on in that regard, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you could call this sort of cafe Christianity, right?
Yep.
But here's the difference. Every religion could be like that, right? You could be a Hindu who pick and chooses which part of the Hindi faith you buy into, right? You could be a Jewish person that says, oh, I like this, I don't like this, and I'm this particular spin or that particular spin. You could do this with Islam, you just with any faith. But here's the difference. If it's only one or two mosques in town, right? And they are like the majority, whatever the fuck, conventional way, then the only way to have your belief in any sort of community and in society and, you know, get people to agree with you on the lifestyle differences and all of this type of stuff, right, is very limited. Because you can't find a community in a congregation in a, you know, social media platform with thousands of followers and all of this that are going to go with that particular cafe, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So for Christians, part of the buffet that they enjoy is not just that they can pick and choose their beliefs, but that they can find a congregation that is close enough or accepting enough, right, that they have that sort of the full building of the Christian life and the community and the, you know, I can go to the dentist that goes to my church and, oh, my son's third grade teacher goes to my church, right? And so whatever little weird version of Christianity they believe is plenty of other Christians willing to go right along with it, right? And I call that denominationalism. And only Christianity has that. That's why it's their superpower, right? You could go take your house and drive 10 miles in any direction. You will pass 7 Starbucks and 12 Christian churches, right? And so there are more choices for churches than there are for coffee, right?
Yep.
So, like, that's denominationalism. And the third superpower, not that they don't have plenty more, but you try to keep these tier list videos to short, right? Their third superpower is what I call soft culting. Right? Soft culting is the idea that when you use that word cult, his video was an example of soft culting. Hey guys, we're going to talk about cults. I'm going to give my cult tier list. I'm going to tell you what the most radical, crazy cults are and why they're out of control. Okay, and Christians, you're excluded. You're excluded. No. Oh, what you do? Oh, no. Oh, with the Jewish blood magic and the 3 days, he rose from 3 days, and you got to believe in us or shall perish forever. But believe in what we say and you'll be saved. Don't take the vaccine. Trump won the election. Oh, no, that's not cult. That's not a cult. No.
And also, we need your money.
Yeah, also, we need your money. 10% every check off the top. Whoa, after taxes. No, off the top.
Right.
What the fuck is wrong with you? After taxes, that don't count for nothing. You might as well keep that money. That's an offering. We call that an offering. Whatever you give after taxes is an offering. Tithes is before taxes. Yeah. You better get it straight. So, y'all, that's soft culting. Being able to live that life and have everybody tell you you are not in a cult. That is soft culting. It's you get to be in a cult without paying the price of everybody treating your batshit crazy ass like you are in the batshit crazy cult that you are in. So now put those 3 things together, right?
Right. I mean, and
go ahead.
Even beyond that, they're in an abusive relationship. And it would be like friends and family, but feeling like the polite thing to do is not tell you that you were in an abusive relationship.
Exactly.
So how is that helping anybody to say, oh, you're in a fine relationship, don't worry about it? You know, it's not a fine relationship. But even Rebecca doesn't realize that even despite her being kind of open in her theism, there are many elements to her belief system and her relationship and her idea of a God that do have her in a psychologically abusive relationship.
Absolutely.
with that God, and she doesn't even realize it. And I think that if anybody really cares about these people, someone should tell them, yeah, you're in an abusive relationship, and you should probably get out of it.
What fundamentally bothered me about your blog and the reaction was that, and again, I've tried to give her appropriate credit for handling it the way she did, but initially what really bothered me was I felt like you were trying to be that friend. And instead of receiving that and like, wow, James, I know that must have been really hard for you. It was like, well, how dare you say that? And trying to now intimidate us into not being willing to tell you how we feel. Instead of recognizing we giving you that bitter medicine, it ain't easy for us to say you. We're not happy that you're an example of these things. Man, don't you wish we could say, hey guys, let's talk about how indoctrinating children with Christianity is child abuse, and Rebecca Davis is no longer a person who does that.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
Wouldn't that be great? Or when you just made that video, she would have already not been indoctrinated in this stuff, or she would have came out and you would have just not even mentioned her name.
Right.
So we would love to live in that world, but instead we don't. We live in a world where you out here on the daily on some bullshit. 6-8 hour streams, right?
They just need, they got to own that shit too. If it's their shit, they need to own it. And that's the thing too.
Yeah. And then again, like I said, she's the one who's always with the there's no such thing as bad publicity. Well, then don't cry when you get bad publicity.
Right.
Right? Like that's
right.
that's how that works. All right, I'm gonna roll the tape, see what else you got here for us.
Theories.
I'm pulling over so I can smoke some weed, y'all. I'm trying to be safe out here.
Scientific ideas that were held by the majority, sometimes for long periods of time, and those ideas were later overturned. So I'm not ready to accept this based on the majority view. Now, if all of the scientific evidence was against a young Earth and all of the scientists were in agreement, then I might more...
They are. All the real scientists are. Yeah.
James, I'm trying to smoke. You got me coughing.
Sorry.
But you were reading the script out of my head. That's exactly what I was thinking. This nigga's just saying, it is. I was also thinking about this earlier because I often think that, like, you know how they say we could turn it against them or we could do the same thing. Tux was saying, well, we could use the same evidence and the same sort of mentality about the flying man. I was thinking with science, we could sing the same songs. We serve the undefeated champion of the world. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We worship the winner every time, early, yesterday, tomorrow. The only one that gets better and better every single day. Oh, every day with science is sweeter than the one before. Science is going to figure out something tomorrow that it didn't know yesterday. Amen. Hallelujah. I mean,
we strike and we strike.
Yeah, right. Oh, man. All right, guys. That's so much fun.
Easily conclude that the young Earth position is false. However, that's not the way it is. You know, and sometimes it's presented by Erica and others as if all of the evidence comes together and points to this one thing. And I don't think that's true. You know, Erica has a video called like 5 things that preclude young Earth creationism. And, you know, there's also things that seem to preclude the old Earth view, the, 4 billion year old view, such as the faint young sun paradox. You know,
I'm not familiar with that actor, faint young sun.
I was literally thinking it sounds like something from the Chinese menu.
Right? It sounded like that to me too. Oh my gosh.
The faint young sun. Yeah, you got that extra spicy.
Oh gosh.
But this is what we mean, guys, about going so far out of your way to find something that you think is a problem. And I tried to get this through the Bible research tools and he would not get it. there are these things that they come up with that these are the real problems for biology, or in this case, I guess the old Earth model. And it'll be like, there are no scientists in this field who talk about this. There's nobody who is worried about their job over this. There's nobody, right? Like, they found some paradox on some apologetic site that, you know, did some that you know, cherry picked the problem from an abstract and ignored all the evidence and the long since figured out solution, or the fact that it didn't matter to begin with, like the one-way, two-way speed of light thing or whatever, right? And then what they did was they did some Bible math. I don't even know what this particular paradox is, but trust me, folks, they did some Bible math. And then they said, you know what? It all works out just like it says in the Bible. And then the only paradox is, it'd be like, why don't scientists accept this? Oh, because of the dogma and authoritarianism. But it's always Bible math, y'all. And if y'all could just point to me that one really useful theorem in the Bible that proves that Bible math is actually math, I would love to follow along.
According to the math, and considering the life cycle of a star, there should have been a time when all the water on Earth was completely frozen. And if we do the math, it looks like it should still be frozen. So there's that difficulty, and you know, there's probably responses to that, and so I don't want to get into like another huge debate.
Says it how it's perfect.
That issue, but you know, when I consider that,
shout out the prophet
Azad, the biomatter that's been found in dinosaur bones that are supposed to be millions of years old, as well as dinosaur bones that have dated.
Stealing a car necessarily.
I just want to carbon-14, oil and coal that have been found to have carbon-14. To me, those are some indicators that the Earth may not be as old as, you know, has been presented. Now, there's another consideration for me, and that is the theological consideration. So, you know,
all right. Before I let her get to that, because I think this is going to be a very, very important shift, and I have a feeling that for her, the theological considerations are actually far more important. But what I want to touch on here is just the fact that their theological core really bleeds into their science. They really do believe that these sorts of things are like challenges of their character. Like it's a test, and you just got to see how hard you can believe and how much you can believe through. And it's really weird because I'll tell you a story about my grandfather, and I always refer to it as the most disappointed I'd ever been in him in my life. But it also told me a lot about him that I never forgot as I became an adult. And I noticed he was kind of like, he had been preaching a little bit of anti-drug stuff, and I have an uncle in my family. Actually, my cousin who's a rapper, his father that committed suicide, and you know, he was caught up in drugs, and so for my family, drugs is like a sore subject, and there's a lot of pain there, right? And so I had found this really good scholarship that suggested that like Jesus, if he was really the anointed one, he likely may have been anointed with like cannabis, right? Because the original Hebrew, like they think that cannabis in the Bible, like that's cannabis, and that's what was used in the anointing oil. And when we go find all these sites and we find people's little shrines in their houses and their ancient temples from those times, there's always like weed ashes, right? It's like they burned weed, y'all. They smoked it, they put it in tents, they used it in all their ritual shit, and when they made the anointing oil, there was weed in it, all right? Mm-hmm. That's in the Bible, right? So this scholarship I was presenting to him, it wasn't from like marijuana reformers or like political leftist. It was from biblical scholars who were saying this is the correct interpretation of the original scripture, right? About what would have been the anointing oil. And they were like, it would have been the same for David and Solomon and all of those called the anointed one, right? And so when I went to show him this, because I'm thinking like, hey, I can like save you a little bit of embarrassment. There's like no need to do the Christian anti-weed thing anymore. You could just do something else, you know? He just didn't read it. Would not read it. Why? Couple of things. Number one, he knew I would probably be dead on. I'm his grandson. I have a lot of credibility with him. He knows I'm not going to put it in front of him if it's bullshit, right? So he thinks the chances that he reads this and I'm going to be wrong about how I'm summarizing it is very unlikely, right? At the same time, the cognitive dissonance he's experiencing is fucking painful, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And so the decision is, I'm just not going to read it, right? Now, how does this tie to Rebecca? This is what I deal with her. It's like she works so hard to not understand, but does none of the work to understand. At this point, with a lot of people like this, I'm like, until you take maybe like, I'm going to be honest with you. I was going to say a undergraduate biology class, but I'm going to be more reasonable and say, given the need for remediation, I need you to at least take like a 10th grade biology class, progress that to like an undergraduate biology class, and then we'll revisit this conversation. Because at this point, you have demonstrated such an inability to make heads or tails of the evidence and understand the preponderance of the evidence, right? Perfect example. She said she had Sal on, and Sal told her the whole, I like science. I just like good science, and evolution is not good science. And so she asked, what is good science? And Sal was like, good science is science that is repeatable, and we're 99.99% confident in. And if you did it again, we'd be 99%. And I'm like, Sal, do you know how many nines you'd have to add to get to our confidence in evolution?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? So by your own definition, and again, it's like if y'all don't understand that, y'all are not ready to do this.
Right.
Y'all are just, there comes a certain time and a place where you have to honestly say to a person, you know, if you really want to practice law, you are going to have to go to law school. And I know you think that watching Law and Order was really getting you to what it was like inside the courtroom, but now that we've put you in front of a judge, a prosecutor, and a public defender, and read their assessment of your performance, the truth is, you're going to have to go to law school if you want anybody to take you seriously as a law practitioner. Right? Now, I'm not saying you got to get a PhD, Rebecca, but you got to catch you a tutor, a biology textbook. Y'all, tell me about some of these online, a Cora, like, no, not Cora. What's some of these online courses you could take for free? That'd be these programs that be offering the free online classes. You got to do a little bit of work. Give us a vlog. Give us a weekly vlog of you going through this biology class. Woo! Come on, y'all. Y'all will be tuning in. Y'all will have your popcorn ready. You know what I'm saying? We'll all take notes along with you, Rebecca. But you're going to have to go through some serious curricular effort on this one. Because, again, that assessment that there's just really good evidence against an old Earth, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's not true. And it's worse than that. It's worse than that, y'all. It flies in the face of the fundamental, basic, core understanding of all the sciences. All of them, right? Because if you understand anything about physics, that don't work, right? If you think that there's evidence against young Earth, for young Earth, then all of geology don't work. Y'all, everything we understand about mountains is bullshit. You guys understand these are two incompatible things. One model says it takes a really, really, really long time for you to get a Mount Kilimanjaro. I'm talking millions and millions of years. And the other one is like, nah, God could do that shit in a geological blink of an eye, right? These are mutually incompatible ideas, right? Right? Our DNA suggests that we all share a common ancestry with chimpanzees, right? No. We might just have a common designer. Nope. If somebody designed this, then our entire theory is wrong. This definitely right here is what you call not designed. This is a mess. Look at all this junk DNA. Look at mutations. The whole thing is based on mutations. The whole thing, if y'all understand, the whole thing is imperfect copying. So how did your perfect designer design a system based on imperfect copying? How could the mechanism of a perfect God be imperfection? The very essence of evolution is fundamentally imperfections. Shit not working is how it works. You're missing the whole picture. That chemistry that you take for the medicine, we don't know. You might take a pill and your stomach might just explode. Tylenol, the next time you take Tylenol, right? Because our whole model of chemistry with the biochemistry and how we figure out how to target to relieve your headache, that just might not work. So again, this particular idea is way worse than saying being out on the fringe and being like, well, I'm not really sure about like quantum wave theory. It doesn't really affect too much about my life. I'm not rejecting the whole of science. I'm just saying I don't really know a goddamn thing about, wave particles and other dimensions. And, if the multiverse, I don't know if we live in a multiverse or not, right? People who say shit like that, we're like, yeah, okay, right? We're talking about the like very nuanced, uncompletely settled, esoteric kind of questions and very particular sub disciplines of very few fields. You see what I'm saying? No, y'all. This YEC stuff, that's just none of it. Just you might as well just throw out all of it. There's just ain't none of it worth really much of anything, right? And they don't realize that. That's what I meant about the pin board and the crossword puzzle. They think they can just take out this little flaw in biology and leave the rest of it alone. And they don't realize, no. Geology work, oil. How do we get oil from the ground and pressure in millions of years? Nope. Right? Again. Yeah. It just doesn't work. Like, it's not how any of this works. So, I'm not. The only reason I really drew that point out, y'all, was to really say that and it's because I know Rebecca may see this, may or may not, or whatever, may or may not be mad at me and James or whatever comes of it. I just want you to understand when I make that assessment of if you want to continue in this vein and to be taken seriously, you are going to have to do more to educate yourself. Okay, I'm not trying to be cruel. And I want y'all to understand, we're just talking about people who do not have a grasp of the fundamentals, and they need it before we can really get into the weeds on exactly what they don't understand, because there's just way too much. And I'm going to tell you something else. It's not their fault, right? This is what the indoctrination does to you. In the critical years where you're in the formal education system, it keeps you so that you're not into this. Rebecca reminds me of the homeschooling crowd. I don't know if she was homeschooled, but she reminds me of the crowd who's homeschooled or whatever they're taught in the public school or a private school. There's a lot stronger of a message coming at home and from the church. And what happens is in these critical years where they're in the school system, science just isn't their favorite subject. They might like social studies or gym or math, whatever it is, right? And so they're doing their thing and they get through life, and now they're an adult right? And then they get into the evangelism. Evangelism leads them to counter-apologetics. Counter-apologetics leads them into the weeds of science. Well, now guess what? They're past that first 17, 20-year period of their life where they may be part of the formal system. They're now in the years 20 to 80 where they're actually raising a family, doing a job, voting, being a contributing member to society, and there's a perfect mismatch. Now they're trying to take on science, but the opportunity to take a biology class and a chemistry class and read a little bit about geology, that stuff is mostly in the rearview mirror, okay? So I'm not saying it's a personal character flaw or something's wrong with her or she should necessarily know better. Nah, I don't really believe any of that. But I do believe if she's serious about this, she wants to be taken seriously, more importantly, then she is going to have to go out of her way, sort of like a person who finds themselves through no fault of their own, in bad shape and overweight. And, I feel bad for people who have those type of health struggles because you got to remember being active and exercising is way harder in their case, right? Mm-hmm. I could get up. I hate running, but I'll get up and ride a bike. I'll ride a stationary bike. But if I had to run, I could run. I just don't like running, right? If I was twice my weight and had trouble breathing and had trouble getting up and walking to the door, and then somebody came to me and was like, yeah, that's a fucking tough titties, but if you want to get in better shape, you really need to run, right? It's like, holy shit. Like, that's a way more Herculean effort for them than it is for me, right? Yep. And it may be asking way more for somebody like Rebecca at this point in their life and what they got going on, family, kids, job, YouTube channels and everything else, writing books and everything, to take the time and find a way to get yourself this foundational education in the sciences, but it's still what you need to do.
Yeah.
As much as that may not be fair.
No, I agree. It's an important thing, especially if they're going to be throwing themselves into the debate repeatedly. Like, they need to get educated on what it is that they're debating before they even step into the arena for that.
Yes. Like, just, basic prep. You're making a very good point. Just basic preparation for your debates and your conversation. I think that the subtext here needs to be probably what you said, this really compelling idea that you find yourself in over your head and maybe really, really didn't know what you were getting into. And then you're out of your depth and there's no guide on how to sort of, get back above water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm interested in that.
So, and Sal's certainly not going to be able to help her with that. Go ahead.
And Sal is not the way. That is worth highlighting. You heard it here. I cannot reinforce that enough. I did a whole episode. To be honest, I had Rebecca in mind. I want to help her, and I want you to see that. What I'm hoping is that I have two things with Rebecca: professional credibility and personal credibility. Mm-hmm. I think the professional credibility is the piece most people understand. The personal credibility is I know her and we genuinely like each other, and I think we want to help each other. So I'm hoping I can combine those to say things like Sal's a shitty scientist. Now, to be honest with y'all, I consider Rebecca like a friend. I consider Sal an asshole on YouTube, right? So if I have to sacrifice Sal's opinion of me, right, to like maybe influence Rebecca into saying, hey, credible scientists like Jay and Erica and people know what they're talking about, like Jason Torn and James Apperson, they don't think Sal's a good scientist. Maybe I should listen to them. Go fuck yourself, Sal.
I'm having mixed evidence about the
sacrifice his ass on the altar every time.
I also have a very strong belief in the Bible, and the view that goes the best with my theology really is the young earth view. So I strongly lean toward that. I'm not saying that, everyone has to have that view or that it's that it would be an insurmountable theological problem. If all the scientific evidence was conclusive that the earth was old, I would adjust my theology. And there's some people.
I don't know if I like Lena or if I don't like Lena. Now y'all like, Jay, why would you say that about one of your mods and viewers? Lena knows I love Lena. The love is unquestioned, right? It's whether or not I like this person that I'm trying to decide. Lena, I'm out here a lot. I got a bunch of channels. I'm doing 4 shows in a single day. I be out here for 10, 12 hours sometimes day. And Lena's like, Jay, you're trying to take over the internet, but you're doing it wrong. All I got to do is just show up in comments with good comments and good questions and pop up as a guest once in a while and call it a day. Keep it moving. The fuck is that? But no, seriously, like this whole idea of having a powerful naturalistic explanation of religious experience, like this whole concept of the evolution of religion. I really want to get on Rob about it because he's teaching, he's such an expert in these things, and he teaches already about the evolution of languages, and this just fits right into it, and it's perfect with what I'm doing with all this counter-apologetic stuff. I think you shared that tree with us, the evolutionary tree of religions. We might get into that at some point. That was a really, 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 really dope graphic. And yeah, I think this is a huge thing. And I think in some ways it can be part of the off-ramp. It's really, really weird, but I think if we can get people more on board with evolution, despite the resistance they have initially, it is such a powerful framework that if you can allow them then to put their religious upbringing and experience into that context, it allows sort of for, like, it's not your fault. Like the one thing I will tell you guys about the nature of being religious and what I really
So while he's gone, I guess I'll entertain you guys and let you know that I was in the Ponderosa rapping to the beat, trying to cool off from the desert heat. And I discovered something really neat. James, I'm just saying, James has moved with his feet.